Which Star Trek March is this? Today on, hey, Trekland Tuesdays live with me, Dr. Trek. Yeah, Larry Nemecek, coming at you right here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 for the big picture and clarity and sanity in all things Star Trek, hopefully. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Good to see everybody again. Hey, if you are new to our little clam bake here every Tuesday, just jump right in. The chat will be going here, whatever platform you're on. If you're on YouTube, if you're watching us later, you'll see the first part of the show. But if you're with us live or you're watching later on Facebook or even Twitch, you'll see the whole affair. And if you're on... Somebody tell me about Twitch today. It's been flaky. But if you're on YouTube, you'll see all the combined chat. If you're on Facebook alone, you'll only see the Facebook chat. Phew, that's gotten awful bureaucratic lately. But here we are. That's for all you newbies. You veterans know to just jump in, and we have a great TTLer community here. Yes, here it is. It's Trekland Tuesdays live again, and we're brought to you in part by all of our wonderful Patreon folks. We'll give them a shout out in a little bit. And I'm going to get off on a tangent here for a little while. We'll take a very short break, and then I'll be back with the Parrot Analytics TV streaming rankings from the U.S. anyway, from the last week, or a variation thereof. And then we'll dive really big dive deep time into the chat, guys. So if you're on Twitch, don't worry. I'm not ignoring you. I will get back around. But I'm going to say this first without jumping in, or we'll never get anywhere. Because I want to ask you, what March is this? Because I look at the calendar that I've been using all year long, and it's, hey, happy March 364th. Really? I mean, what kind of a March is it for you? It feels like we've been in historic times for the last year already, but these days are feeling a little different. And what slapped me? Just about the time I start to feel like I have a groove, here they're ripping everything up and saying, oh, well, we've got vaccines coming out. Oh, maybe some places are opening up. I worry if that's just a hair too soon. Like, give it another couple of months, guys. Really? Really? Is the political pull that big? We've got a COVID relief bill coming to support businesses and individuals to stay home, which was what the idea should have been all along. Some people just insist on getting in the way of common sense. When people rise up with pseudo-political scientific responses to all of this, I just want to go, it's a pandemic. Like, if it's raining outside, you get an umbrella. Why is this so difficult for people? But now, are we really seeing the old proverbial overused metaphor light at the end of the tunnel? Are we really getting there? Do we dare look down the road? And for in Trek world here, think about STLV or the fall cons or what's happening in between. Now, it's interesting. We've already talked about how not only is, say, here regionally at least, WonderCon, the big Comic-Con here, I know others around the country are doing the same, are postponing or staying virtual. Depending on where they are in the year, right? Where their place is. But we've already heard from Big Granddaddy San Diego Comic-Con that it is postponing 2020 to a small event in November. Everybody hedging their bets at this will finally tamp down virally in the confidence of the public, travel-wise, that maybe October, November, December are going to be... the times that things are safe to reopen. But rather than waiting a whole year, some folks are putting off to a small event in the fall just to get by it. It's been 2 years. So Comic-Con San Diego's talking about a 2-day event in November live before getting back for reals in 2020. Here in Trek World, the cruise postponed for March. There's too much overhead and hassle there. They're just putting off until March. But it really is conjuring up a time of, oh, yeah, sure, by summer, sure, yeah. Oh, wait, maybe not. These killer variants are going to get us. Well, but if we can get just enough vaccine out, we can tamp down the whole July, August, September window is up in the air. So I don't know. Is this the March of all of our beginning questions a year ago? Or is it a time of our ending questions. We can see the other end of the tunnel, but we still don't know how fast we're getting there. I mean, I looked it up. A year ago today on this program, the title was, it was number 145, exactly 52. The episode on Tuesday for March 10th, 2020, and my title was CoronaCon Crazy, Will the Web Save Us After All? And by the web, meaning everything going virtual. Will online world save us, save our sanity, save civilization? And the answer is, of course, yes, it did. We had to adjust our sensory perception. We had to, create a whole new industry to fight Zoom fatigue, whether it was work or school or, even church in your passion pits. But yeah, we've made it so far. Look, we've made it so well that I don't know, at least in this March, at least on March 364th, maybe you call it March 9th, at least in this world, we're sitting in a world where the Voyager documentary, which was delayed a year for actual shooting, maybe that was a good thing. Maybe people are so pinned up. I've done 2 different interviews with the Voyager documentary team, one for Life Support Live a week ago, 10 days ago, to support their Indiegogo campaign. We just did one that's going to be the virtual panel for WonderCon coming up in a couple of weeks that you'll see with the entire team. And it will not be so much the standpoint of contribute to the Indiegogo, although there'll be 2 or 3 days left. But it was more about looking forward, getting on with the project. But like right now, their stretch goal is into the 5th. They've got the 5th. It's into the 6th. They're up to 661,700 as of right this moment, which means they're 13,300 away from the final stretch goal, probably what they'll stretch into at 675. So my God. But, the big boom was in the first 2 days, the first day, and then it kept accelerating as they posted the stretch goals. And just the word took a while to reverberate around. They made history. They set the Indiegogo one-day record for documentaries, which is awesome. So this March, after a year of shutdown, after a year of postponement for them and shutdown for a world begging, a Trekland begging for good news and happy stuff, something people can do besides sit through yet another virtual panel, although, yes, Lifeline. I mean, that's the March of this. This is also the March where even with people finding it in their hearts to give to the Voyager documentary a little passion project that I've had lately, and I say passion project, I mean just wanting to help someone. This is an old clip. Friends of Michael Braveheart on GoFundMe, he put up a drive for $3,000 in medical help. I hope some of the COVID relief helps him in his stress with life and not being able to work. He was an entrepreneur, teacher, coach. Michael Braveheart was Ensign Martinez, who went for years without a name on The Next Generation. But you saw him next to Dr. Crusher, Gates McFadden, for years, even after that nurse Ogawa came in and got to talk in sickbay. He was still there with her at times. There's been a spurt on his GoFundMe for $3,000. He's up over 1,000 now, which is cool. I'm just trying to spread the word out there and boost the signal. He had some heart issues, and he had a very modest. It was just going to be overwhelming. And in COVID time, like everybody, made it a little different. And I just thought, for one of the familiar faces of Star Trek, he deserved to have a little signal boost. He's New York based now, not LA based. So there you go. But this is the March of things like that happening. We're still doing things online. We've just gotten savvier about it all. The question marks from a year ago, that title belied. We didn't know what. We kind of had a feeling. We didn't know what it would look like. And we also didn't know how long the sucker would go on. We were hoping for fall. We didn't know. I think the week by week went by and the questions piled up. And yeah, the inefficient response, the inept response. Thank God some science teams just got to go off and work on vaccines amazingly and revolutionary ways to get us to vaccines. Thank God that at least went on. But in all other aspects, this was just such a bumfuddled response. But we did make it through. We found pockets of leadership. We found pockets of common sense and sanity, and all of us helping each other. And part of that was going online, and part of that was the fandom world going online. Hello World, where I've lived for 5 years. But that's the March that we're in today. We're in the March where I don't remember the International Year of the Woman being celebrated the way it was yesterday. Maybe because things like that, we're living online so much more. Boy, sociologists and psychologists are going to have a field day with what this last year has done for people and work, for kids and schools, for passion points like ours. What's it going to do for the residual? Is there a silver lining? Is there a lead lining in all this? Have our brains really been rewired to deal with life through this flat screen boob tube? Is anybody still watching? I'd love to see somebody watching live streaming, or watching YouTube, or watching a streaming app through a rounded old school TV tube. I think that would be awesome to watch. It's probably out. Some hobbyist out there somewhere has got it. I'm sure about it. But yes, so hats off to International Women's Year. As Will Rogers once said, I issued from a woman, so they will always be in my debt. No, but I mean, and the great litany of Star Trek women that we've had. Back in the day when I was editor of Communicator, we did a big women's issue special. I know it's like Will also once said, I'm in a Will mood this morning. Will said one time that, we have Dog Week, but we have Mother's Day. So maybe someday mothers will get elevated to where they have a week instead of just a day a year. But no, it's a lot of things like that seem to get more attention. We are living our lives online. We're communicating with each other. We're saying what we think each other. We don't get the chance to go down to the bar and have or most of us don't have the chance to go down to the bar, or go out to eat with friends and do all that kind of thing in a normal, routine, regular way. So we miss those kinds of things. Is this the March where we also now that, and I haven't got to mention this really in this venue, my gosh, Kalinda Vasquez, who's that? It's a woman who has been awarded at least a contract to write a script, which does not mean a movie gets made. If you think that, just ask, Josh Hawley or Quentin Tarantino or whoever else is coming up with the recent scripts for Star Trek movies that are on hold or pause, or, never say never until the damn thing is selling tickets and people are back in theaters again. Okay, maybe streaming on Paramount Plus, somewhere on that mountain of entertainment. But good on Kalinda, a name unknown to us, although she's been writing in just had a series come out in Marvel. Another merging of the medias there. But she was involved. She wrote the I keep wanting to call it Q&A. No, she wrote one of the short treks. She wrote the teleplay for part 2 of Terra Firma last year. So, here she's been commissioned to write a script. I'd like to know whether it was the chicken or the egg. Did she get the time on the show as prep for writing the script? Or is the script a reward of sorts for something that Secret Hideout saw glimmering in her writing work already so far for Trek? We'll see. And whether it even gets made, we'll see. But that's even some news. That's how I know this is March 9th, 2021, more so than it feels like March 364th, 2020. Yeah. But it's also interesting that Kalinda is someone, not only the fact that she's named for Kalinda, right? The original Kelvins from the Kelvin Empire that weren't in the Milky Way that are in Prime. Okay, those Kelvins look suspiciously like their leader comes from the C-57D, if you follow me. Those old school Kelvins, she's named her parent, not just the fact that she's named for one, but her parents, come on, follow me here. Her parents had to have been original series fans to name their kid Kalinda. So the long shot here is she's got the Trek DNA. Okay. She grew up in that Petri dish. So that all portends well. Okay. And that she came up through the Secret Hideout factory. She's not a completely outside. I know there are some of you that would raise your eyebrow at that. And I can't wait to see what the chat's getting into, guys. I know I'm really going to get to this, and I'll have to backtrack. I just want to get through this, okay? But that's this March. This March is that we've got a writer working on a movie script who's come in since the modern era, the recent modern era of Trek, and not a complete outsider. Anyone who's named Kalinda by her parents who were original Star Trek fans isn't totally a Star Trek outsider, I know. But in the modern recent world of process, someone who's had a touch, who's very much in the flow of where the thinking is going. And again, get out of here if you're going to get after me with that whole monolithic, secret hideout bit. There's different series here, very much a different tone, and more to come. More to come. Is this the March that we actually are hearing that we're going to get season 2 of Lower Decks by 2021? I would hope Prodigy is in there somewhere now that we've had a look at Prodigy. And for those of you being shocked, it was going to be on Nickelodeon. I'm not shocked at the look of it. They're all alien races. This is a renegade teenage show that comes into Starfleet and the Star Trek universe through the back door. So the shots we saw totally make sense with what's been announced. And somewhere lurking in all this is Admiral Janeway or Captain Janeway. They were a little murky on that. May have been just sloppy writing, PR writing. May have been very intentional. But Catherine Janeway is involved with this show somehow, whether she's a hologram or Charlie Townsend on the speaker box talking to them. Whatever happens. Yeah, I'm excited for that. But we're going to get the next chapters this year. All the shows are filming now. Strange New Worlds, as well as Discovery and Picard, are in production in COVID protocol. So that's this March. That's this March of still questions, but just different ones. And maybe not quite as massive and overwhelming as the questions we had last year. So yeah, to answer my own question, the web did save us after all. We didn't go completely CoronaCon crazy. We did have CoronaCons. I love how we quit talking. We quit using that Corona. It had a nice rhythm. I used to like saying Corona this, Corona that. But okay, COVID-19, the COVID crazy. We have adapted. We have. Thank you, Borg Collective. You would have been proud of us. We have adapted quite well to all this. They'll lingering aspects, sure. My God, the people that did survive their Corona-19 and having lingering effects, what do they call that? The COVID long haul? That's going to be studied. And whether or not our kids are as, immune to COVID as we thought, that there's not some kind of lingering effect that shows up down the line. Let's just be wary, but be thankful that we've gotten to this point and that we've got vaccines more and more rolling out, different brands, different types. Please, though, keep wearing the mask where you are. Keep doing this stuff, because even if you're vaccinated, unless you're completely in a pod populated only by other vaccinated people, you've still got the chance to, even if you're not going to get sick, to pick it up from someone and transfer it. You can still be a COVID Mary. Okay? So let's all just not go wahoo and abandon everything, too soon. Let's not do that. That's me preaching on that box. Otherwise, we've got questions here in Trekland, but we're bulling right ahead, including the end of the month when, the second year of virtual Comic-Con, this year much more assured, is going to roll out, and I'll be talking more about that when we can announce the actual times. But I've got 3 panels coming up, so I was really thrilled to be moderating the Voyager documentary team panel. I have a wonderful Is Star Trek fandoms divides just on account of the generations. And I've got some folks from different avenues of fandom, people that you're probably familiar with, and if not, you ought to be. We've got a panel of 6 coming in that time slot, and Dr. Ali and I are doing a special virtual WonderCon edition of Life Support Live, looking at all of 2020 Trek and using it to boldly go through the uncertain times still of 2020, kind of like what I'm talking about today. Although in our inimitable condensed version, Live Support Live 1 hour version. We miss our streaming chat crowd for that too, but that's on the way too. And a host of other virtual panels all up and down the line, as will be Comic-Con, San Diego. Will Vegas have to go virtual or delay into December like the original plan last year? I don't know. Stay tuned. What are the conventions near you? Go. I know several of them through spring. Phoenix Comic-Con is delayed until a fall event in September. My buddies and my homies at SoonerCon Oklahoma City are just knocking off until 2023. Some of this is about size, whether it's business model, whether people are earning their paychecks or not. And, you know, it hurts. It's hurt all kinds of people. And hopefully those are the folks that have gotten the most pandemic relief. That's how I qualified for some, because of the live event shutdown. And virtual is great, but don't talk to just actors and creatives. Talk to their agents and managers. It's been a lifeline, but it's been a trickle. People want to get back to the fun, and people who are able to have fun and make it a business, it's been a trickle for them. So it'll be great when we're all back live. And again, the Comic-Con near you may have postponed till fall. Maybe they're knocking off for a year. Maybe they're juggling that late summer, early fall, and hoping to Salt Lake is still around Labor Day. So we'll see how that works. Salt Lake Comic-Con. The western end here, more familiar with for me. You'd think New York Comic-Con in October would be safe. We'll see. I got no idea what's going on with all the Florida cons and the ones across the South. We'll see. We'll see. So I guess I'm happy that this is March 2021 and not totally March 364th. I've had that joke for ages. I don't know about what you're doing, but it's March, name the date as we've come along. That's the ticker, as if April 1st was March 32nd, in case you didn't get that. And so today is March 364th. In a lot of ways, it is here in our pod. But my better half's got one of her shots down. She's paranoid now. They're going to take her second shot and give it to one of the groups they're trying to emphasize, which I'm all for that, but not at the expense of losing somebody's second shot. But I'm hoping she's just paranoid. Although we've had friends who did have their second shot delayed to get a priority group in the door, like school teachers. It's tearing. There ought to be a way to get both accomplished, and maybe they will. And again, everything is so local and regionalized. The shots, the vaccination schedule, the priorities, the opening up protocol. So wherever you are, I hope you're able to. And as someone said, I don't wear a mask because my governor told me to. I wear a mask because it makes sense. Because a lot of governors don't always make sense. Yeah. So you do what you got to do for you, and the smart thing for you and your loved ones and your friends around you. We've still got each other. We'll always have virtual fandom. And I bet we will never fully get rid of virtual fandom. We've gone there. There'll be pieces of this that stick with us for a long time. So yeah, I'm much, don't get me wrong, kiddos. I'm so much glad that we're in March 2021 and not March 2020. It has been a year since the curtain fell. I think of Winston Churchill's Iron Curtain speech, or just dropping the fire curtain on the stage, or yes, how about the fire door with a Geordie roll under it just in time? Whatever your image metaphor is, I'm much gladder to be on this side of the door, this side of the year calendar than a year ago. And I bet you are too. And we'll see. We will see. Light at the end of the tunnel. Yay, yay, yay. Okay. Hey, listen, I want to thank you for joining me here again on Tuesday. I wanted to mark the 1 year anniversary of everything falling apart or everything going, and it's, yeah. We have a lot of fun, a lot of exciting things to go. And as we reopen, it's going to be interesting to watch how and why that happens. And, but a lot of other things happening this week. So this is the March. This is the March of some of the news headlines we've had, some of the things that are uniquely March 2020, and good for that. And hey, something else that's uniquely March, and I just realized I didn't update it again, but I'm going to give a shout out to all of these folks. Hey, thank you for being on our Patreon. We've got a simple 2-step Patreon. I say we, it's the editorial we, guys. Patreon's a way you can support creatives of all kinds, even as the world keeps maturing. So yes, shout out to Blaze K, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, And why can't I hold this straight this week? Anne Marie Siegel, Blake Arlich, Justin Porteous, Nathaniel Robinson, and then our live wires, Rusty Harrell, Jared Cooper, Halbert Gunn Johnson, Eli Irvin, Jalen Bullock, Gary Williams, Robert McLean, Dan Leckie, and Casey Shafsky. Special shout out to Casey for your thanking you. Most folks are on the 2 tiers that I have. Very simple. A lot of people handle this like crowdfunding. I just keep 2 simple tiers, 2 simple perks, a shout out and a shout out with some interviews. And yes, I'm behind on getting the interviews out. Interviews from the early years, the closet, from the first couple of years of Portal 47 and our behind the scenes folks, many of which you've never heard from before. You don't know their names, and you're thrilled anyway to hear their stories, because it just adds to the Trek. And that's what we're all about here at Trekland. Hey, not the same old. And as some of my friends at some other burgeoning sites are doing, if there's common wisdom that is neither wise nor common and needs to be refuted, we're all about that too, doing what we can. And that is why, one of the reasons every week, if you'll join me over there at Trek Files, this week we welcome Noah Averbach-Katz back again to look at a fan letter to Gene Roddenberry from 1971 and compare fandom then to fandom now through the eyes of Discovery's resident late great Andorian renegade Rin. That's Noah, and he's back with us on the Trek Files. Check it out over at Facebook. It's the only podcast with paper. I promise you it's painless paper, okay? And yeah, once again, live support live with Dr. Ali. We had the Voyager team on a couple of weekends ago, if you want to go back and check that out too. But we'll be back live Saturday, as we are here, with on all these channels, these same warp channels, same warp time, and the capacity for chat too. We have a great time going boldly through uncertain times. I hope you can join me over there. Once more, one shout out again for Michael Braveheart. He's on GoFundMe. It's Friends of Michael Braveheart. You ought to be able to find it. This is an old, outdated number that's up over 1,000. It's up over 1,100, I think, if it's $3,000 goal. So yay on that. And yes, you can still contribute to the Voyager documentary too. They're 13,000 short of the last stretch goal. They've got till the end of the month. They've still got 3 weeks to go. What are they going to do with the crickets chirping? I mean, yes, you can still put some money in and unlock some perks. They've still got lots of perks up there. That's the thing. It's not just getting to the goal. There's a lot of cool stuff up there. From the Janeway mug that they can't keep in stock to the high-end, yes, high-dollar roller, away missions here to LA, to film sites. So, yes, Dr. Trek and my Trekland Treks and Geek Nation Tours fame, I'm going to help out. It's my way of helping out the cause. On a couple of those away missions, I'll be there along with some of the cast folks. Can't wait for that. I think one of them's with Garrett. I forget how we've got it set up, but you can read that. It's all in there. So if you want to help the doc and you want to see what a film location site tour is like, and bringing along all your cosplay and have the most awesome photo ops ever. Hey, the sets are great to visit, and all the recreated sets underway. And James is doing a great job up at the official licensed set tours, and they're building a TNG bridge. Those are awesome. And my old stomping grounds down in Georgia are offering the same, but it's a whole different world to go to the locations, and you're out in public and you're having to juggle traffic and get there. And there's nothing quite like seeing the spectacle of Starfleet Academy, or yes, looking around for a Gorn, or something much more obscure that will still tickle your heart as a fan, as a Star Trek fan. So guys, that's it for me. I'm going to take a break here for a second. We are leaving you. If you're watching on YouTube later, I'll be right back on Facebook. If you're watching later, or if you're live. Anyway, aside from all this, why am I juggling cards? What is the deal? Yeah. If you're with me on YouTube, that's my Twitter handle, just Larry Nemecek. If you're with us on Facebook, it's Larry Nemecek's Trekland over. That's my hub on Facebook. Other than that, just jump in with us at portal47.net, your minicon all year long. We pioneered this virtual fandom thing. No one knew it, but we were. And that's been a lot of fun too. I've got Portales on here as well. That's it for me for this part of the show, guys. Hope to see everybody again next Tuesday if you're leaving us. If you're watching us later, please join us live. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to dive into the chat here. We're going to look at the Parrot Analytics as much as we can get this week in a minute, and then we'll dive into the chat. Otherwise, guys, please stay healthy out there. Do all the smart stuff still. It ain't over till it's over, right? As a famous Starfleet baseball manager once said. Well, all baseball is Starfleet now, thanks to Michael Piller and Cisco. Hey, stay woke, please. Please keep checking your sources. We're going to have a wave of all kind of misinformation online. Just be grounded with all that, okay? Most of all, trek well, everybody. Trek well.